This is why you pay for Sirius XM, Heather B.
Talk to me
That's
about it.
why you tune in to Sway in the Morning.
Okay.
We, hands down, have some of the most interesting guests that this society has ever been privy to. Mm-hmm. This woman who has joined us this morning, I first fell in love with when she appeared on Martin.
Shake it, Miss Trinidad, but don't break it.
Martin? What's not right, Martin? It's not like you're married or something. We're both consenting adults. We're both at our sexual peaks.
Hey, look. Look, Miss Trinidad, all right? I have a woman. I am in love with my lady. But if she goes down in a plane crash, you'll be the first I call.
Wow.
And by appearing on that show, that made me feel, as a young man growing up in Oakland, California, that I had a chance to date her.
Miss Trinidad?
Miss Trinidad, in my own mind. But learning about her trek and her journey, it's an amazing story she tells in her new book, The Face That Changed It All. In 1974, she was the first African-American woman to grace American Vogue. Yes. She went on to grace the French edition of Elle. She also did the series Beverly's Full House on the Oprah Winfrey Network. New York Times named her one of the 20th century's most influential people in fashion. It's the one, the amazing, the magnificent Beverly Johnson. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, is here. Wow. You're an amazing woman.
Whoa, thank you. Miss Trinidad to you.
You Miss Trinidad to me. And I'm not married. Well, welcome to the show. I got a chance. This book is electrifying, to say the least.
Did you like it?
I loved it. The stories are so, you're so transparent in this book.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and you talk about, well, first of all, being able to grace the cover of Vogue, I think we got to put it in perspective. In 1974, we were living in a different society. And you say this in the book, there weren't a lot of positive black images on TV and pop culture as well. Esther Roll was on Good Times, right? You had a few people like that, but you weren't that. What did that mean to you to grace this cover, and what were some of the pitfalls that black models faced at that time? What was it like? What was the climate like?
Well, we had just come out of the civil rights in the 60s. So, it was on in the 70s. There are more black models. There were more black models in the 70s than there are today.
Whoa.
Really?
We had black modeling agencies in the 70s.
Uh-huh.
But that cover was the defining moment of my life. I didn't know I was going to be, I didn't know I was the first woman of color on the cover, but when you do an American Vogue cover, you have arrived.
Yeah.
And then when I found out I was the first woman of color on the cover, I said, oh no, in 1974, you mean this is still going on? And then I grew up very fast because I realized the responsibility that I had. Mm-hmm. I was ready to party. I got the cover, and then all of a sudden, I had this, this acknowledgement of a whole community that looked up to me and that, really felt that by being on that cover, we were finally accepted in mainstream America.
Uh-huh. But I read too that you got backlash from other publications, black publications, because you weren't doing enough of those covers at that point. Was that true?
Yes. There's a reason why they call someone a trailblazer. You have the burns to prove it. Because not only did I get it from the black magazines, I got it from some of my white peers that said, okay, now, girl, now you can do glamour and everything, but now you coming on our territory. So I was getting it for everywhere, but, I was ready for it.
You were ready for it.
Yes, I was.
A lot of feuding at that time. You talk about your relationship with Iman, right? Naomi, right? What was that like? Why were you guys fighting when it seemed like you were like the rare jewels, in that arena?
Well, we really weren't fighting.
Okay.
We're ladies. This was no reality television show there. But what happens is that at that moment, there were always the token black. And what we had to let everyone know, like my predecessor Naomi Sims let me know, is that, listen, we're in here together. There's enough room for everyone. And so I just had to make that clear. Don't play that game with these folks, because they say there's only room for one. We know that we live in an abundant universe and there's enough for everybody. So rivalry is great. Iman is an amazing woman. I called her the queen in my book. She's smart. She's beautiful. We look alike. She signs my name on autographs. I sign hers. Are you Iman? Yes, I am. I'm Iman. Yeah. And so
that's kind of kinky. I like that.
Yeah. No, but I wanted to, let everyone know about how they pit people against one another. And, that whole divide and conquer, but we have strength in numbers.
Yeah.
And I think that we all came to, and then there was Naomi and Tyra. And, I took them under my arms and said, no, girls, you can't do that. Well, she's stealing my poses. No, honey, we've had that pose for a long time. So I was, the peacemaker.
It's interesting you bring up Tyra because at one point you used to date Benny. Right?
Yes.
Benny Medina?
Yes.
You were dating Benny Medina.
Yes.
Who was, at the time, he was managing Will Smith. And it didn't work out. It was crazy. But that's what I got gathered from the book, that it was a little hectic because of your schedules. Then he went on to manage Tyra. But you spoke about having an ideal concept like similar to America's Next Top Model.
No, it wasn't similar. It was America's Next Top Model.
It was America's
No, it was America's Next Top Model.
Okay.
And that I had let the copyright lapse. But you know what? It wasn't for me at that particular moment.
Oh, that's the high road.
No, but it's the truth. I mean, everybody has an idea, but you have to act on it.
Yeah.
And you have to seize those opportunities when they come to you. And I wasn't ready for it at that moment.
Did Tyra know that idea came from you?
I think that Benny, he lets everybody know, this is where it came from. He really lets everyone know. And he's just a brilliant man, representing Jennifer Lopez. And, he worked with Prince at that time. And he was just this really creative, person that these people were always over his home. And he's just an amazing man. I think he's a genius.
Benny Medina definitely is a genius when it comes to this business.
Beverly, as you're saying the story about Tyra, it made me think about a story you brought up earlier about Grace Jones. And recently, she has her own autobiography, and there are some excerpts that were out. And in one of them, she was talking about how right now in this, when we talk about trends, everyone wants to be the next Miley Cyrus or the next Rihanna, Sasha Fierce. And she was saying all of these people were actually swagger jacking her, but she doesn't get any of the just due credit. When you think about younger generations, me and Sway talk about this all the time and how they kind of just dispose of the past. Do you feel like anyone just kind of takes from your style?
No, not at all. I mean, I didn't create anything. I mean, I think that you take what you have from the past and you build on it. There's only, one way to make a pair of pants, one leg, and you can't make a three-legged pair of pants. So, we're all evolving on what's already out there. I mean, there was Josephine Baker. There were these amazing artists before. And what we do, we draw, subconsciously or unconsciously on all of these wonderful artists. So that's how I feel about that. You know what I mean? It's a compliment for somebody to say, you look like Beverly Johnson. I mean, RuPaul had a drag queen that was Beverly Johnson. Not quite, I told her.
Hey.
But
but
I was honored, and also, of course, she won.
Yeah.
Winner, Beverly Johnson. Thank you, girl.
There it is. Beverly Johnson is here. The book is The Face That Changed It All. Now, there's some other controversial chapters in this book. Of course, you talk about Bill Cosby and his famous incident, which you've talked about before, but I want to touch on that. But I didn't realize you got so much slong back in the day, man. You dated a lot of guys.
I didn't know either. I thought I was a good girl, and so I started writing it down. I said, "Oh no, you didn't. Not him too."
Yeah.
Got him in those clutches.
But if you all just write down your life, you'll find out that you were a little naughty too.
Yeah. Did you write down any women names?
Oh no, that's the next book. Sneak preview.
Preview. Ooh.
But let me just get real. I was writing my memoirs in 2013, this memoir right here. And this was going to be my first time talking about the Cosby encounter.
Yeah.
And I was, told the story to my writer. We handed it into the editor, and they said, "Oh no, we can't put this in your book. This is a legal liability." I said, "Oh, okay." And then everything came out in December, and I saw these women, these courageous women, be re-victimized again. And I knew that they were telling the truth because my story was very similar to theirs. And so my conscience and my principles told me I had to speak up. Thus, the Vanity Fair article. And then all of a sudden, the publisher said, "About that Cosby chapter, we want it in now." But that's indicative of what's been happening. I wanted to tell my story. Okay, it's a little late, but I wanted to tell it. But nobody wanted to hear it.
Well, once you told it, it kind of legitimized the whole movement, so to speak, that's been happening with women coming forward. Because prior to that, we were like, "Oh, get the hell out of here."
Yeah.
When you came forward, we were like, "Oh,
There's something to this.
There's something
No,
true.
they said done.
Yeah.
Nail in the coffin.
Nail in the coffin.
But I didn't know it was going to do that.
Yeah.
But what it's really done is brought up this conversation about the rape culture in America. It's hard to find a woman that has not been sexually molested, assaulted, harassed. It is so prevalent. And women, we are taught in society to be voiceless. It's okay. Let it go. Don't say anything. No one wanted me to come out and say anything. My daughter said, "Please, Mom, they're going to talk." "What do you don't need it. What about your legacy?" I had to do what I had to do. Sometimes in life, you have things that you must do.
Yeah.
You have no choice. And that was one of those things.
Did you want to see him hurt initially after it happened?
That's not in my hands.
Yeah.
We have the Justice Department. We have the universe. We have our higher power. That's the judgment there. I want nothing. I'm not angry. I'm not bitter. I wouldn't take a dime from anybody. And so for me, it's about my principles and my conscience. And everybody has their opinion, and that's okay. But just think about it. Put some logic on it. A group of women don't come together to talk about rape and then to be re-victimized all over again. I most certainly didn't want to say, Beverly Johnson, the first woman to grace the cover of Vogue. And by the way, she was drugged by Bill Cosby. I didn't plan that for my legacy.
Yeah.
So as hard as it is, swallow that pill, it's even harder for the women that had their lives torn apart by sexual assault.
Do you forgive him now?
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, yes. I forgive him.
Beverly Johnson, you wish to speak with her, 888-742-3345. Beverly Johnson, Don't Run for Cover. That was back in 1979-ish.
Oh, my
Buddha
God.
Records.
Buddha Records,
Yes.
Clive Davis, David Foster, Betty Wright. With all that talent, they still couldn't get me to sing. I sold 19 records, but the album cover was smoking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was jerk bait right there. The album cover.
Right.
Yo.
Yeah, she don't mind. Beverly, you don't mind if a lot of us have fantasies as kids to your pictures, right?
Oh, well, honey, that's your private
Your
business.
business.
Yeah, but you're sitting right next to me.
Miss Trinidad.
I worked hard to get to this point.
Cross your legs.
Hard
sir.
being the operative word.
Ew.
Okay, Beverly Johnson is here. Listen, reading through this book, couple things, shocking moments. Before you had your child, you write about the fact that you got advice from someone that told you to do cocaine to induce the labor. Is this true?
A 1-in-1.
What is a 1-in-1? I didn't know
You
what
know
that
what
was.
that is. 1 in one nostril and 1 in the other.
I've never done coke. Is that what that is?
You're so beautiful and young and naive.
You about to get schooled, Sway.
School
Listen
me,
up.
man.
It's really refreshing.
Really?
Now, come on. I'm going to take you back to the 70s.
Okay.
All right.
Cocaine wasn't addictive. Cocaine increased your intelligence. Cocaine killed your appetite and made your eyes bright. We didn't know what we knew about cocaine as we do today. Mm-hmm. And it took a lot of us away, and it's still taking a lot of us away. And my sobriety is sacred. And that's why I never said anything about it. But I thought it was time.
It was time.
It was time to share. So that was a 1-in-1. And then my whole idea about this book is to be honest and candid. Otherwise, don't write the book. And the older you get, 60 years old, the more you say, so get ready for that book at 75 years old. I'll be telling everything. And you know one thing Black people don't do? They don't pass stories down because we have this really horrific history in the way of slavery.
Yeah.
And so, you know, our ancestors didn't want to tell us those stories. And even my grandparents, if they said something, you would hold on to it. I think it's time we start leaving our story. We start leaving our history for our children, our grandchildren, and their children to know about our life, to empower them. Because otherwise, as African Americans, we're just out there in the ethers, not really knowing where we came from, how we got here, and what is this all about? And I think we have to be storytellers and tell your story. You write your memoirs. You tell your story because it's important.
So when you did that 1-in-1,
Yes.
did it affect your child at all, or it didn't work?
Honey, women were smoking cigarettes and drinking. Pregnancy didn't stop anything back in those days.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
I mean, we didn't know what we know now.
Okay.
But
So
I'll tell you one thing: that labor came down
it happened.
a week later.
You had the baby.
Yes, I did, and you know, and she was healthy and wonderful, and she's an amazing young lady.
Okay. But you wouldn't advise nobody to do 1-in-1 now.
I wouldn't advise anyone to smoke, drink, or anything. I don't, and I don't, you know, definitely think that pregnant women should do everything they can to, you know, enrich the lives of their child.
There's so many things in this book, Heather. I'm gonna just start just rattle them off and see if Beverly could talk to us about it, and then you guys could jump in too. I don't want to hog her, but you know, she wasn't jerk bait for you guys. All right, so
What's that called?
Jerk bait. He basically stared at you and whacked off.
Oh my God! Don't touch me with that hand. Get that hand away
All
from
the way
me.
from Oakland, Miss Beverly.
Did you wash your hands? Okay.
Okay, I just watched them.
Okay.
All right, you dated a lot of interesting guys.
I did.
One of the guys you dated was Mike Tyson. I didn't know you dated Mike Tyson.
Is that what you
She
call
look
it?
like
You
she
call
don't know
it?
that.
Whoa. Well, here's the thing. Here's the
You
story.
call that a date?
Okay. Well, Mike was young. He was going for the championship fight just around that time
Okay.
against Berbick, right? Trevor Berbick. And Beverly told Mike, if you win the fight, I'll give you some.
Combine.
Mike became the youngest champion in history. How was that night?
Yeah.
Well, who is it? It's Mike. It's Tyson. Who? Listen, you have to read the rest. Buy the book. I put him in the book because I thought, you know, he was an incredible young man, and also because of what he went through, and he owned up to what he did,
Yeah.
his sexual assault, and he did the time, and then he came back again. I mean, that's a champion.
Oh, yes,
You know,
absolutely.
that's a champion. He admitted when he was wrong, and he did his time, and then and he was forgiven by the family, and whatever happened, he's moving on.
He's moved on.
There you go.
He's an amazing guy. He's a citizen of Sway in the Morning. He's been here. He co-hosted plenty of times. And I just was happy for him because I didn't know that he dated you.
I know. Isn't that funny? I'm kissing and telling.
Yes.
Taking my power back all the way around.
Eddie Murphy.
But it shows what a gentleman he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked about Eddie Murphy going out on a date with Eddie at that time. Eddie was at the height of his career. And he had his bodyguard sit at the dinner table with you guys.
Don't start telling.
I'm telling you. Okay, all right, okay.
All
right.
You know, people. We're trying to get people to read.
Okay.
I ain't got to read the book. I know all about it.
Okay, one last song.
Go ahead.
All right. We're in the middle of the U.S. Open right now. Magnificent event that's taking place. Serena Williams has a chance to make history again. And what she's done and her sister they've done for the world of tennis. They changed the game for women's tennis, and they make gigantic strides for African Americans playing tennis. But Arthur Ashe was one of the trailblazers, as you put.
Arthur Ashe made it possible for Serena and
Venus,
yes.
right?
Yes.
What was he like you guys went out? What was he like? What could you tell us about Arthur Ashe that people wouldn't know?
Well, people don't know who Arthur Ashe is. They say, "Oh, it's the stadium," and so I really made it a point to let people know about this incredible man and what he did and what he stood for, and his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, that's why I wanted to devote a chapter to him. And people don't really know him personally, and he was extremely intelligent. And he was in an arena of tennis, which was so white. He got the N-word every time he had a match. And he had to play through that. His record today has never been broken by Venus or Serena in the name of tournaments that he's won. And people don't know that. So get the book and educate yourself.
Beverly Johnson. The book is called The Face That Changed It All. What do you stay on the East Coast, or you stay on the? Your family's from Buffalo, right? Do you stay out here, or?
I'm on the West Coast. I'm a golfer.
Uh-huh.
I moved to the desert because of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a game of life. It's a game of how you handle your mistakes. Not so much your successes.
Okay. Well, whenever you come back to New York, I would love to have you back on the show.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Beverly Johnson, ladies and gentlemen.
We didn't get the ladies to get the
go ahead. Give them one question. Go ahead. Go.
Point of view here.
She got to go.
She got to go.
go.
Oh, she got to go.
She
all right.
gotta
Okay.
go.
All right. Okay.
Anyways,
Okay.
I'll come back.
Okay. Come back.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you
so
very much.
They
Thank you
calling
very
the
much.
back line for Beverly
All right.
right now.
Oh, are they
The
really?
big phone is
Okay.
ringing.
My bad. I apologize.